Here in the background, you see hog traps, which have been wild hogs have been a very detrimental to us in how they get in here and root things up. My neighbor on the other side of me put down a hot wire about 10 inches off the ground, and for the last 4 years now, he's been controlling the hogs, which he controls them over on his place, and that keeps them off of my place. So I have a great debt of gratitude to pay him. Next slide. Here, the cattle are grazing, and the shortest route to prosperity is across green pastures with livestock grazing, because you're incurring so little cost there in furnishing them a good forage for production. Next slide. We come here with projections on our grass-fat cattle, and here you're going to see the expenses that we incur. 50 head of stocker steers at 500 pounds at $1.20 per pound is $600. So we have $30,000 tied up in 50 head of cattle there to start with. Our interest per head on that $600 is like 9.5% for the year. That's $57 times 50 head is $2,850. Incidentals per head, we allow $30 per head in here times the 50 head. That's $1,500, and that's anything that we need to buy. Part of that incidental is going to be some chicken litter that we put out, and then also we charge on 50 head 50 cents per day for those cattle that we're grazing there. We charge that against our cattle, and that's for $9,125 expense there. So what we are calling constant expense here is $43,475 against those 50 heads for the year. This is a constant expense of $43,475. And you say, well, if you're not paying interest, why are you charging interest on the cattle? Well, if I didn't have that money tied up in the cattle, I could have it involved and invested in other things. So we are taking what they would charge us at the bank and charging that against the cattle, that $2,850 per year. Now, as we come down here and as we sell these animals, on the first deal here, we have the commission on the 50 head of cattle, and they're weighing 1,200 pounds per head, which gives us 60,000 pounds of weight, and we figure that they'll dress out 55% on their dressing weight. That gives us 33,000 pounds of beef hanging on the rail at $3.50 per pound, and we pay a 15% commission on the selling. That's for a total of $17,325. That is our varying expense, and of course that will vary from each animal as they hang on the rail. We actually pay on the number of pounds that animal weighs out. So this is a projection here. So that $43,475 added to this varying expense of $17,325 gives us a total expense of $60,800. Next slide. Here we come to the total income on those 50 head here at 1,200 pounds, 60,000 pounds times the 55% dressing weight gives us 33,000 pounds of beef on the rail at $3.50 a pound. That comes out to $115,500. Then our total expenses were $60,800. This leaves us a total net profit of $54,700 on that 50 head. Next slide. Here we have the same constant expense here on the top side, coming down to $43,475. We change up here on our 50 head, that being the same on the weights and everything. The thing that we change here, instead of 3.5 hanging on the rail, we're using a price of $2.50 on the rail. At the 15% commission gives us $12,375, and that is our varying expense there. So then our total expenses are $55,850, we'll go to the next slide, and we have here with 82,500 and the 55,850. This leaves us a total net profit of $26,650 if we had to sell that at $2.50 per pound. Next slide. Here we have the same projection here on the top side, still coming out with $43,475, but we're going to surmise that we have to sell here at $2 a pound instead of the 2.5 or the 3.5. So we come out with the commission running $9,900 being a varying expense, and that gives us a total expense of $56,100. Next slide. So as we come over to the this slide, we find here at the $2 per pound, we have the $66,000. The commission expense $99,000, and our total expenses are $56,100 from the $66,000, leaves us a total net profit of $12,625. Our next slide. Now, if we delete these things that we've been charging ourselves for, like on the grazing at 50 cents per head per day, that's $9,125. And the interest that we didn't pay to the bank, but we used our own money, of $2,850. Then if we were to market those cattle ourselves, we'd save $9,900 in commission. So that brings back a total of $21,875 on interest here. Next slide. Here you see the end results of your grass-fat cattle. He's been stretched out a little bit wider, a little bit shorter legged, but he has made this rail to the trip, and he brought $3.50 a pound, and he dressed out 1,003 pounds. So he did about $3,600 and something hanging on the rail. That is the end result. Thank you so much.